caught up in all the hype. And if Tupac came back from the dead now to hear this interview, you would agree. They got caught up.
Me and Pac went in the studio and did a song together. And then them little dudes.
Outlaws.
Yeah. They came, like, as soon as we got there, they came up to Pac talking about, yo, Lauryn Hill dissed you, Mobb Deep dissed you, this and that, and So then Pac went in the studio and started writing about, I think it might have been that, I think it was.
The courtroom was overflowing. Cameras snapped from every angle, the flashes bouncing off the polished wood like lightning. Reporters shoved their way forward, desperate for the perfect shot. The tension was so thick it felt like the air itself was vibrating. Diddy entered slowly, dressed in a sharp navy suit, but his face told a different story. Pale, lips tight, eyes shifting nervously. For weeks, he had carried himself like nothing could touch him. But today was different. His empire, his freedom, his entire identity, everything hung in the balance. The whispers in the gallery grew louder, fueled by rumors swirling outside these walls. Maximum sentence. That was the phrase everyone kept repeating. Diddy sat down beside his attorneys, but his body betrayed him. His hands trembled, his jaw clenched and unclenched, the weight of the moment sinking in. His lawyer leaned close, murmuring something under his breath, but Diddy barely acknowledged him. His attention stayed fixed on the judge, scanning for the slightest flicker of mercy. But the judge's face was stone, cold, unreadable, almost carved from ice. Before we continue with this gripping moment, make sure to like the video.
Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul.
Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon. That way you will never miss the stories we bring you. Stories just like this. Now, let's get back to it. The prosecutor rose slowly, straightening his tie, his voice slicing through the silence like a blade. His closing words came sharp, deliberate, each one echoing through the chamber. Your Honor, this isn't about one lapse in judgment.
Didn't Eric B try to sign you to Death Row East at one point?
Yeah.
What happened with that?
He called and said, Suge trying to, build a Death Row East, man. I think it might be a good look for you. So I went out there, and like when I walked in, these two big-ass Rockwallers came up, and then Suge, he comes out the back. They come running around, sniffing around me and stuff, sits down with his cigar, sits his cigar down and does this. And both the dogs ran and sat down next to him. So I'm like, okay, this one of them meetings. He said, well, what you want? A $400,000 advance. Why you ain't just simply say $500,000? Man, you Big Daddy Kane, man. I can't see myself signing you for less than $1 million. I gotta give you $1 million. He said, 'cause you already a household name. But then he was like, well, yo, look, I don't know how you doing financially, but if you want, I can just give you $100K in the morning. That's when I knew it was time to go. I was like, you just gonna give me $100,000 with no agreement? Nah, I was like, I'll let you know tomorrow. And then I went and switched my flight to like a 6 a.m. joint.
This is about a dangerous pattern, an abuse of power that cannot be ignored. Each word landed heavier than the last, pressing Diddy further into his seat. Sweat began to glisten across his forehead, his composure cracking under the weight of it all. The man who once ruled the music world like a monarch now looked small, diminished, almost fragile. In the back, fans covered their mouths in disbelief. Some shook their heads, unable to process what they were seeing. Others recorded on their phones, live streaming the downfall of a giant to millions online. Social media was on fire, hashtags trending, theories exploding, the world waiting for Diddy's empire.
Bottom line is that they got caught up in all the hype. And if Tupac came back from the dead now to hear this interview, you would agree. They got caught up in the hype. And Public Enemy prophesied, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. And they got caught up. Biggie, they all got caught up, and it's a shame because we ain't supposed to go out like that.
To finally collapse. The judge's hands rested on the bench, perfectly still. The silence between each statement was suffocating, almost unbearable. Just a few feet away, Diddy's children sat frozen, fear etched across their faces. His mother clutched her rosary with trembling hands, lips moving in desperate prayer. The weight of the room extended far beyond those walls. It was in
right? You know, you being a respected lyricist, how you feel about the people that push the narrative and say that Tupac, he wasn't a lyricist?
Okay, but hold up. Tupac is a lyricist. See what I'm saying? It's just that he's not one of those lyrical MCs that spit stuff, but his stuff is, he spit deep lyrics that touch your soul. So I do consider Tupac a lyricist. You know what I'm saying? Even though his stuff is about substance, I do consider him a lyricist, because it's like this here. You have to be lyrical to touch someone's soul, to make someone feel like, yo, I don't know this man, but he knows my pain. You see what I'm saying? So I do consider Tupac a lyricist.
the streets, the headlines, and across every glowing screen in America. Everyone was waiting for one thing, the verdict. And deep down, Diddy already knew it. This wasn't just another day in court. This was a day his entire life could be rewritten forever. The prosecutor's tone sharpened, gaining strength like a storm closing in. Every word cut deeper, stripping away whatever hope Diddy had left. "This court has heard enough," he said firmly, his gaze locking on the judge with a fury that had been years in the making. "We are not dealing with accidents or bad decisions. These were choices, deliberate, calculated, repeated. Mr. Combs abused his power, silenced his victims, twisted evidence, and thought his wealth made him untouchable." Gasps broke through the gallery, the sound crashing over the room like a wave. Diddy's face remained cold, but his grip on the defense table betrayed him, knuckles turning bone white as his hands clenched tight. His attorneys exchanged uneasy glances, scrambling for a counter, but every word from the prosecutor landed like a hammer strike. Each statement another nail, sealing what felt like an inevitable fate. The gallery sat frozen, breaths held, every eye locked forward. Even the judge leaned in slightly, hands folded, gaze unflinching. The prosecutor paced methodically, his footsteps echoing across the marble floor like a countdown. "For decades," he declared, his voice rising, "this man built an empire on intimidation, influence, and money. But in this courtroom, none of that matters. Hey, the law speaks louder than power." Diddy shifted suddenly, leaning toward his lead attorney, whispering in a frantic rush. His lawyer shook his head, whispering back just as quickly. But Diddy's chest rose and fell in shallow bursts, his breathing ragged, cracking the mask of composure he had clung to for weeks. Fear now covered his face, the kind of fear no amount of wealth could erase. Behind him, his family sat motionless, their anguish painted clear. One of his sons wiped silent tears, his jaw trembling as he tried to stay composed. His mother lowered her head into her hands, rocking gently, whispering prayers into the silence. Across the aisle, Diddy's former allies sat with folded arms, stone-faced and unmoved. To them, this wasn't just a trial. This was a reckoning. Outside, chaos roared. Reporters stormed the courthouse steps, microphones stabbing into any willing witness. Protesters shouted, some demanding justice, others begging for mercy. News helicopters circled above, broadcasting the moment to millions. Inside, the prosecutor delivered his final strike. His tone dropped lower, colder, sharp as steel. "Your Honor, this man has lived believing he is untouchable. It's time to prove that he is not." He turned on his heel, the click of his shoes against polished floors hitting like the pound of a gavel. Diddy stared dead ahead, eyes glazed, lips pressed tight. Every rumor, every secret, every decision pressed down on him at once. And for the first time, he knew the truth everyone else was starting to realize. This time, there may be no escape. The silence was suffocating.
It says the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, number one. People were starting to say it's an East Coast-West Coast rivalry because it was people that's trying to make money. It was true people trying to make careers. It was people trying to get famous. It was people hustling other people out of money on the East Coast. You don't have no team. You need us. We from the East Coast. Pay us X amount of dollars for protection. And some of these idiots was doing it. For us, how we looked at it is, we looked at it as we representing the West Coast, but we representing the ghetto.
The judge slowly removed his glasses, laying them on the bench with a deliberate motion that sent chills through the room. Something was coming, and everyone could feel it. Diddy's lead attorney rose carefully, tugging his suit jacket into place with trembling hands. The weight pressing on him was visible, crushing. He cleared his throat, voice low but steady, his words meant to pierce the tension. "Your Honor," he began, locking eyes with the judge, "my client is not the monster the prosecution has painted him to be." He stepped forward with a stack of papers, but didn't bother reading them. Instead, he spoke directly, reaching for sincerity. Yes, mistakes were made. Yes, choices carry consequences. But Sean Combs has also spent decades giving back, mentoring artists, creating opportunities where there were none, building a legacy bigger than himself. He is not beyond redemption. Diddy leaned in closer, elbows on the table, eyes fixed on his attorney like each word was oxygen. For the first time all day, he nodded slightly, clinging to the flicker of hope. But despite the plea, the tension in the room only deepened. The defense's words hung in the air, but the faces around the room told the truth. No one was moved. On the opposite side, the prosecutor leaned back, arms folded, wearing the faintest smirk. He knew the evidence was a mountain too steep to climb. The defense attorney's voice rose, filled with desperation, pleading for compassion, for mercy, for a chance at redemption. Diddy's mother dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief, while his daughter leaned close, whispering prayers no one else could hear. Camera flashes at the gallery, catching every tear, every trembling breath. But the judge didn't move. His gaze stayed locked on the attorney, cold and unreadable, his silence louder than any gavel. The defense's final words cracked with emotion. "Your Honor, this is not just a man before you. This is a father, a son, an icon to millions who believe they could rise from nothing. We are not asking for forgiveness. We are asking for redemption." The room went still, the only sound the faint hum of cameras outside and the tapping of Diddy's fingers against polished wood, shaking despite his effort to hide it. Diddy closed his eyes, inhaling deep, as if he were replaying his entire life in a single breath, the music, the fame, the scandals, the power, the choices that brought him here. When he opened them again, his gaze drifted to his children. His lips moved faintly, whispering words only they could feel. "Please, not like this." Yet the silence dragged on. The judge offered no reaction, no sign of what was coming. And deep down, Diddy knew. This wasn't just about freedom anymore. This was survival. His attorney sank back into his chair, defeated, as a crushing weight of silence pressed down on everyone. Diddy clasped his trembling hands, trying to anchor himself, but the fear only grew heavier. His eyes flickered toward the bench, searching desperately for a flicker of hope, but the judge's expression was carved in stone. Diddy whispered to his lawyer, voice shaking, "What's going to happen?" The reply came soft, almost lifeless. "We've done all we can. Now it's in his hands." The words hit harder than any headline, any insult, any accusation. This was the end of the line. No secret phone calls, no backroom deals, no influence left to trade. For the first time in his career, power meant nothing. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple, but he didn't wipe it away. He stared ahead, eyes glossy, trying to keep from breaking as the entire world watched. Behind him, his mother clutched a rosary so tight her knuckles turned white, rocking gently as prayers slipped from her lips. His daughter buried her face into her grandmother's shoulder, too terrified to look. His son sat rigid, fists clenched, jaw locked, fighting back tears. Across the aisle, the prosecution sat still as stone, victory already etched into their posture. The lead prosecutor leaned back in his chair, hands folded neatly, a faint grin tugging at his lips. Diddy lowered his head, rubbing his temples, flashes of his past assaulting him all at once. The heights of fame, the endless parties, the headlines, the denials, every choice replayed like a broken film reel. For years he believed he was untouchable. But now, trapped in this moment, stripped of everything, he felt more vulnerable than ever. He closed his eyes, whispering words so faint no one could catch them. His lips moved again, a desperate plea only he and God could hear. "Please, give me one more chance." When he opened his eyes, the truth hit harder than before. No one in the room cared about his music, his legacy, or the empire he had built. To them, Sean Diddy Combs was no mogul, no king, no legend. He was just another man waiting for a verdict that could erase everything. He was no longer a mogul, no longer untouchable. He was just another man staring down judgment. The silence around him was suffocating. Every cough, every shuffle, every creak of the benches echoed